Welcome into the Arc Sports Business Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we've got a special one. We've got TJ Eisenhart joining the podcast. He's I'm not really sure how to introduce him. I don't know that I need to, but he's a very talented cyclist, artist, family man, and also has quite the business savvy. And we had a very interesting conversation. I could have talked to him for another 3 hours. We spoke about a lot of topics, life, business, sport, and a lot of topics were covered, and I think in kind of a meaningful way. And I hope that you guys find some value in this conversation. I know I certainly did. So without further ado, I'll send you over there now. Again, TJ Eisenhart. Thank you. All right. So yeah, we were just talking a little bit about art, like before we kind of got started on some of the cycling stuff. And you were saying,
yeah, you mentioned that you gave a piece to your girlfriend and how you could hear in the way you spoke, you there was this like, oh yeah, she just kind of politely put it into storage. But you could, it's like, that's, as an artist, you shouldn't have to be worried about what they're thinking about what others, because from what I've learned is most of the time they can't see what you're seeing. They don't understand what you're seeing. And they're, again, it's, as an artist, you're trying to show the world what you're seeing. You're not trying to show the world what this person is seeing, because you can't relate to that person because you're not that person. And there's been so many times I've shown pieces early on to my mom or my wife, and like I could just see them, their face, like they don't get it where it's going, and you can see like they don't even like it. But that's just because they can't see where it's going. And that's, it took me a long time to realize that my brain is different like that I can see where it's going. And that's like my artistry and my superpower, is that I can see where it's going to go, and I can see how it's going to look for the most part, and how it's going to feel, where most people can't see
yeah,
that.
and I mean, it's a great,
They only see what it is now. And for me, that's really helped me a lot with my business and for everything. I'm building Imaginary Collective and our team, because it just, from building art, you realize art is built from nothing to something.
sure.
You go and buy a canvas or piece of paper and it costs literally nothing, and then you sell it for $10,000, and you're just like, people aren't buying the material. They're buying what you produce, like what you put out there, your
Yeah.
soul,
Yeah.
basically. And I realized, well, everything's like that. Everything, we start from scratch like that. Everything is our canvas. Everything, we start from a white canvas, and it's our job to build from there. And I just apply that now to everything I do, kind of like a recipe. And it's just like, it's awesome. Now I'm just purely living my absolute dream, which I didn't think would ever be possible. It was crazy. I was racing professionally and on BMC and on Hincappy, and you feel like you're living the dream, but you're living someone else's,
Yeah.
like you're
Everybody's
living
telling you you're living the
it.
dream.
Yeah, everyone's telling
Yeah.
you that's what you built up for. That's what you were going for. And I gave up art for a lot of years to really like pursue that, because I thought that's what, like, all right, yeah, you can't really make it as an artist. You can't really, and it's like, wait, no, I'm listening to too many other people. That was way the issue. Whereas from a young age, it was like people were telling me, oh yeah, you can be a great GC leader. You're going to be the next Lance Armstrong. You're going to be, it's like, no, everyone should have just shut up and just told me to go have fun racing my bike. But yeah,
And
now I
again,
really see
you
that.
sort of got to come to that yourself. It's if someone
Oh,
had told you, early on, maybe, hey, just go have fun racing your bike, you'd have in the back of your mind, like, am I leaving something on the table? Am I leaving something? But the fact that you kind of did that arc yourself, now I'm not leaving
totally.
anything on the table. I'm like living the dream now.
Yeah, I had a great conversation with a friend. He's a tattoo artist here in St. George. And I love riding with him because we love doing art, and we love talking about art and bikes and life. And we were talking about that, where, yeah, I mean, for, the most part, uh, sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. Can you go back?
Yeah,
Sorry, I
you were
just
saying that
it's still
you have
early.
this like tattoo artist that you ride with, and we were kind of talking about coming to some of these realizations on your own.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, what I said was, I have all these thoughts on what I did then, or what I maybe would do now, or it's like, oh man, had you known me then, you would have thought it's total square, or, just totally, but I want to be where I am now without, like you basically said, everything we did, previously. And same thing, like a piece of art, like you'll be doing a piece and you'll just be going with it and going with the flow, and it's not ever perfect. People think like when you're making art, it's like, oh yeah, this stroke is perfect, this stroke, it's like you're just going with it, you're going with how
Hmm.
you feel, and all of a sudden you might slip up and create a mistake, and that's just part of the piece. The same thing with your life, like it's just part of the piece, and then when you pull back and look at the piece at the end, it all ties together and creates this masterpiece. And again, for me, I just apply that to my life, and think about that in the same scale as like, okay, I did this, you know that then helped me get here, and when you pull back farther, it's going to help create
Yeah.
something a lot larger. And
And that's
uh
kind of the beauty is all those little like nicks and cuts and issues and like have you ever seen the movie Good Will Hunting?
oh yeah,
Yeah, that's like one of my favorite movies. And there's a great thing where like Robin Williams is talking about his wife who like passed away. And he's like, oh, there's all these little issues or things that she did that you didn't like or whatever. But when she's gone, you realize like that's all the good stuff. Like
that's
all the
everything you
little,
miss,
yeah, everything you
everything you
miss.
miss.
Yeah.
I say today, like the worst day, today for me, it like the worst day is by far my great would have been my greatest day 3 or 4, 5 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
Like since meeting my wife, since really pursuing what I want to do, since being true and like pursuing art and doing what I want to do. And it's like, that's, yeah, it's funny. Like on my worst days, on those days you're like, you maybe did something stupid and your wife is upset with you, and you're like, that's still better. Like those days when you're like in arguments or you feel like crap, it's like I still have this beautiful daughter, I still have this amazing wife, like life is good for me, even like if I'm thinking that day is terrible, and it's
That's
like then
awesome.
I look back farther and I'm like, oh my gosh, this would have been an extremely amazing day had I, like, let's say I was 18 and know like, oh man, you got this sexy wife, you got this amazing daughter, you got this awesome art studio, you're going to be racing for Santa Cruz. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah. Oh
like
yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, yeah,
you go.
so why don't you take me back a little bit to that kind of like on the road, like a little bit what that was like maybe how long you did it, what the travel was like, maybe what the day to day was like, and then,
Yeah,
maybe kind of how you started to realize maybe there's something else on the other side of it.
yeah, it's funny, a lot of people will look at me or see this video or listen and be like, what, you retired from professional cycling at like 26? That's so young, like retired from anything. But what they don't realize is I've been doing it since I was 10. Like
Yeah.
when you do cycling, it's it's full, you have to do full gas every day, all day. And the higher you get up in levels and age, the harder it just gets. It never gets any easier. There's always that famous quote by Lamond where it's like, doesn't get easier, you just get faster. And it's true. You go up the same climb and it'll still hurt the same as it did, but you're just going faster up it. And you just, so since I was 12 years old, it's funny, I was talking to that same friend and telling him like, yeah, my life was kind of a bit like that Blades of Glory, where you had the kid who was like adopted and then this like put into sports super prodigy, and like at age 12 they were doing aerodynamic testing and lab testing. And I watched that movie the other night and I was like, that was just my normal life. Like
Yeah.
at that junior age, you were being tested in those programs, you were being tracked, you were being followed, you were going to all those camps, you were watching diets, you were training. And so like I said, by the time you get to my age now, you're just like, you're ready to do something else and to change it up a bit. And for me, around 18, I signed professionally with BMC, like their development program. And so then I moved straight to Europe, lived there for like 4 years. I lived 2 years in Belgium in the little town called Le Glaise. And it's like the more hilly region
Okay.
of the Ardennes. It's what so like Liège, Bastogne, Liège actually went straight past our like
Straight.
the
Okay.
house.
Yeah.
Like so there's La Rosier and like it went right by that. But yeah, so I lived there, raced, and it just like I said, it just was like always this I don't know, itch I can never quite scratch. Like felt like I was doing all the work, but it just wasn't ever felt like coming back completely. Like it felt a good analogy I gave to someone was like it felt like I was in like the proper river. Like I was going with like I was in the river I needed to be in, but I was swimming up the current. So
Yeah.
just like what and I like I love cycling. Like what's going on? Why is this not why is this not kind of happening? It felt like and
You don't love
it
it
felt
from
like
the
I was just
fire hose though, in that environment.
I'm
It's like you're
yeah, I mean
drinking
I
cycling from a fire hose
It,
almost to the point
oh
where,
yeah, totally.
yeah.
Yeah, because I totally shut off any art. I didn't do anything. I just dedicated, and it's exactly what you said, just like a total fire hose of you know processing, cycling on TV, news articles, learning about it, and just like now looking back, it's like I just totally overanalyzed everything and totally overcomplicated everything because now I train way less and I'm basically at that same level, and it's like I now know how to really gauge that, but yet have this, but like,
Well, I think
like
I think you
everything that
see that
comes
in
with
business,
balance
like
and
people.
age.
Well, I was gonna say people that like start their own businesses and stuff, and they do the same thing. They'll put all this effort in, so much effort, and they're really not getting anywhere. And it almost takes maybe a life event or a change in scenery, and then you pull back and you're like, wait a minute, like I need to focus on these three important things. Maybe these three
Hmm.
things that I do best and like go with that, and all of a sudden you start to see results, whereas you could be totally working your butt off and not really getting anywhere. And maybe that's a little bit with cycling. You were so the paradigm was so day to day to day. You get a little breather back from it, and you're like, wait a minute, I am talented. I do respond well
Hmm.
to these long rides or whatever, or hills or whatever, and I'm just gonna focus on that and start building my engine kind of from that perspective.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, kind of, you know, I think you're I didn't really know what I really wanted. I think when you do as a kid, you do start something like that, you get so much and you're good at it. A lot of people will just like you'll start building walls kind of around you, and you start getting this like you get tunneled out basically, where it's like, all right, your eyes are on the prize of this. Like, I'll get to graduate high school early for going to Europe. This is cool. That sounds cool. And also, everyone else again is too much chatter, and everyone's in your ear about oh yeah, this is you're living the dream. This is so cool. This, and again, you don't have actually time to kind of like you said, maybe have a life event or have something happen to you to kind of really take you step back and be like, is that my dream? Like, do I do I really want that? Do I really like that? And it really hit me when uh found out my we had just gotten married and I found out my wife was pregnant, and you're just like dang, you're just trying to process everything. And right as that happened, my contract had also just got cut in half from my team because they had lost a sponsor. So it wasn't even a fault of mine or because everyone's contract got cut because of loss of a sponsor. And so here I am just like complaining then all winter and just pissed off that all of a sudden I lost all that half my paycheck and would have been fine and wouldn't have had to stress the next year. But then all of a sudden now it's like, oh man, we're about to. My wife at that time didn't really have like a super stable job. She didn't have like insurance either or anything. So like it then was like I went from this like steady feeling to like, oh man, I can't rely upon others. And like I hated complaining and realizing I'm complaining about others' mistakes. Like that wasn't my mistake, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, and that's again, I realized like it doesn't matter how much I train or how much I race, if others aren't pulling their weight, it does, what does it matter, you know? So I then really, I remember coming to terms like I got to just do this on my own. I got to like I want to take control of my destiny because I just was tired of following it because I knew I was getting sponsors since I was 10 years old. My dad
Mm-hmm.
was really good at teaching me how to like speak to people and communicate to people, and he was in like he helped develop like a lot of foundations
Mm-hmm.
for like Special Olympics. So he knew how to talk to like people to get them to donate or sponsor. And like I just picked that up. So it was like I was always getting watch sponsors, shoe sponsors, anything because I saw it bigger. You know, I grew up in other sports as well. So I saw like, well, why wouldn't we have all these other endorsement deals? Why would we just have what the team has? That doesn't make sense. But there's all this other time you're not riding a bike, you know,
So
or
what so
this,
what is it like with the team in terms of those sponsors? Like, do they have so like the team
it's
itself goes and
basically like the
negotiates with
middleman.
what?
So
Yeah.
the team then that's where I saw it is like, wait, the team isn't actually doing anything for me, but cutting out half the money that the sponsors given to the riders.
Yeah,
So
you're
then the
the
team
product
is
they're selling to the
exactly. So
sponsor.
they're the
Yeah.
middleman, you know, and you're just like, for me as a businessman, I was like, why on earth am I working with a middleman? Why would I not? And I was scrolling through my phone, and I remember one day the owner of Ride 100%, the sunglasses, uh,
Okay. Yeah.
he messaged me because we were using their glasses that year, and he was like, "Dude, I love your art. Like, I'd love for you to do a mural in our building." And I was, and I was
You
at
were
that
like, talk to
time,
my middleman. No.
yeah, no, yeah, at that time I was in the midst of starting to like we're gonna do Imaginary Collective the next year. So I was like,
Sure.
you know what? All right, I should hit, and I was like, wait, I'm talking to all these like all the owners, I'm not talking to like the product manager or like it wasn't like someone I knew. It was like, no, this is
Yeah.
the owner of the company at all these companies, whether it was Monster, Ride 100%, all these companies, and you're just like, well, I'm friends with all these guys. I do art. I've either sold a piece to them or and you're just like, well, why wouldn't I hit them up and see if they're just interested in supporting me? Because the way I saw it is like, here you have a sponsor, they could give 50K to a team that sponsors 15 people, but out of that 15 people, you get one person that's actually posting. So
Hmm.
why not pay that person half, that and save half of your sponsorship? And it's funny, I just went to a lot of sponsors like that and was just like, why pay full price for you're only getting, it's like buying a carton of eggs and you only get like two eggs that aren't broken, and you're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of
why'd
waste in
I
that
why'd
setup.
I put all that money into that? And it was also interesting, like I said, like being an artist, you're used to seeing things how it's gonna look or what it might look like. And I'd always like just would see like, all right, like sponsorship is and social media, this is crucial. And it was just
Yeah.
so funny throughout my career, so many people would just be like making fun of it all the time, or they would be making fun of me, or like just like thinking it's a joke. And it was like, you guys think this is a joke, but and now you see, like last year, that's what it all depended on. Last year, there was no races. Well,
Yeah.
at the end of the season,
Sure. They got a couple in. Yeah.
they were able to squeeze a couple in, but the only reason our sponsors, and we even upped it, like all our sponsors came back and all upped, like what, because we didn't ask for any money the first year because I was like, I'll prove, like that's what I always like to do, is just prove my wealth and value. And I always say, like, you'll come back at the end of the year and you'll be wanting to pay us more because I'll prove to you while, and we did during
Yeah,
that
that's
year. And
great.
I posted every day, was thinking, all right, out of the box, like if we can't do races, what is my skill set that I can do with my sponsors? All right, let's hit them up for product that I can paint, we can auction off and give that money then to charity. Like last year, we didn't get paid a dime on the team. And then we were able to get from our sponsors like a bike, some wheels, paint it, auction it off, and raise about 4K to Pingree, the autism center in Salt Lake. So it's
That's
like,
awesome.
it's just cool doing things like that. And again, people say like, oh no, this is how a business should be, or this is how a cycling team should be, right down this line. And it's like, it's seriously the wild, wild west, especially now with social media. You can, if you are an amazing, I don't know, at knitting, you can become a YouTube star at knit. You know what I mean? Like
Anything. Yeah.
anything you're
If you're
good
good
at,
at it. Yeah.
and you're good at, kind of being social with people, you can basically create a social business. And me, like, my whole goal once I found out my wife was pregnant, to be able to create a job that where I was at home, because I didn't want to travel to Europe anymore. I didn't want to travel like long, extended. I was like, I just want to paint at home, ride my bike when I want to ride, and then look at
Yeah, it's
now
the
what
quality
I'm
of life.
doing.
Yeah.
And but it's just funny, like I said, a lot of people laughed at it. A lot of people like didn't get it, they didn't see it. And it was funny, I a lot of people will be like, oh, you just contacted those first sponsors and they said yeah, and it's like, no, I messaged a lot of people.
Hmm.
We met, and it was funny getting those responses back. And again, I was like, you guys don't see it, but you're gonna see it. Like, that's okay if you're not interested, because like I don't want to work with people that I have to convince at all. Like, if you don't see my vision, I'm not here to. I can continue without you. I don't.
Sure. Yeah.
I can find others who will see it, because it's a big world, a lot of people, and it's like if one person doesn't see your point of view, I'm sure someone else will.
Yeah. So when you were sort of out cycling in Europe and stuff, when did you really start to see and start to think about like Imaginary Collective itself and that sort of idea of working directly with the sponsors? Was it right from the beginning or was it sort of towards the end? And sort of like what
Uh,
was the timeline on making that business plan or whatever sort of as you
it
as you moved into that?
it's it's always been kind of this like inception thought in my mind, I think since the beginning, because I've always loved that athlete sponsorship relationship, because that's what I grew up with as a junior. As a junior, I wasn't on a team. On As a junior, I had to go out and get the sponsors.
Sure.
And
Okay.
it's like that's now the normal privateering gravel thing. And it's like, what? I was doing that when I was 12. Like, it's easy, and people are like, oh, it's so scary asking for this to this. And it's like, my dad just taught me that, hey, the worst thing someone can say is no, and
Exactly.
someone
You've
says
got to
yeah, then they
ask.
say
Yeah.
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 It's
And the
almost
thing
like
is, you
it's too,
never.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I think you were about to say almost like it's too easy.
Well, no, I was going to say, I think people, it's almost like it's too, it's just outside the norm. So it's sort of like, oh, I couldn't possibly ask. Like, what if they say no? Then
Yeah,
I'm the person they said no to. And it's like, well, yeah, but then the fifth person they say yes, and now you can go ride the race, you know?
exactly that. Well, and like I said, so I think it's also now too easy, where there's days with social media, you can send a message to anyone or any company. I would do it all the time when I was building Imaginary Collective. And now I don't, because I'm comfortable and I don't know, I don't want to add more.
Sure.
Why?
Yeah. You don't want to get it beyond
But
a sustainable
yeah,
thing for
and
them.
but it's funny, like if you really wanted, you could go on Instagram all day and send messages. Let's say you did that for 2 hours, maybe, or 1 hour a day. You would be blown away by then the free stuff they would send you, or maybe they're like, oh yeah, let's bring you on as an athlete, or it's like most of the time it's just from, a lot of times I'm just like, oh, it's usually just from me asking, sending a message out and being like, hey, love your product, love what you guys are doing. And yeah, so many people are afraid to ask. But
And you got to get that
it,
conversation started. I mean, that, like you said, you don't, they might say no, they might say yes, they might say, here's some
yeah,
product, they might say, let me have you on a video, or like you don't know, but you don't know till you start that process.
yeah. And it's definitely, you know, I think it helps being an artist. As an artist, you're used to being vulnerable. Like if you're selling your art, you're being real vulnerable because you're
A
open
lot
to
of people aren't going
anything.
to like it.
Yeah, which is cool. Like
Yeah.
I'm totally cool with it. But that's also then helped me be that same way towards life and like business. And it's
That's a
awesome. Like
very
how,
healthy attitude. Yeah.
yeah, because and like it's funny how art has just taught me so many life lessons like that, where you're just like, okay, this vulnerability, it's it's beautiful inside you. Not everyone's gonna love it or appreciate it, but that doesn't mean it's not like a beautiful piece of art. And it's like, I don't know, that's how I feel about people. My mom always taught me like everyone has a story. And so when I would travel, or even now, like when I go places, maybe not now so much with COVID, but before, I'd talk to strangers all the time. And my wife thinks it's so funny that just like I'll talk to like last night we were on date night and I was just standing in line to go to the bathroom and just chatting up this guy, but that's how you make conversations. That's how that's how I sell art. That's how I make friends. That's how I grow relationships. And honestly, you realize as well, like as an artist, you can't do anything like solo,
Hmm.
like no, nothing is done by yourself. Like if you want to grow and grow something amazing and build something amazing, you have to communicate that to people. You have to talk to people. You have to build relationships. You have to, it's awesome that now I can go on my phone and be like, oh yeah, what person does this? Oh, I should reach out to them. They can maybe help out this guy. Or, oh, you should hit
Exactly.
up this massage guy. He's great for this. Or, oh, you're looking to get a tattoo done. You should hit up my friend here. It's like, and it's awesome how I built these other bridges for other people. And you're kind of then this connector. Like for now, like, right, for example, like an imaginary collective, we're always helping other athletes come on to other sponsors of ours, whether it's like
Yeah.
helping bring Jamie Bestwick onto Kogel or, it's, that's just how we view it, is like, if someone's making a great product, why wouldn't we want to bring
Sure.
everyone we
Yeah.
love onto it?
Yeah, and it's funny that you talk about that like vulnerability that art taught you, and like that's something that I think in our like society people view vulnerability as this huge negative, but it's actually this
Yeah.
asset that's allowed you to make these connections. It's allowed you to sell your art because like you said, I mean that's a very, you're really stepping out on the whatever over the ledge because you're saying, "Hey, here's this thing that I put all this effort in that I love. I think it's beautiful. Will you buy it or put it in your gallery?" And they're like, "Oh my baby could paint better than that," and it's just like,
Oh
whoa,
yeah,
but it,
someone.
but it's okay. And you go on to the next one, and that allows you to do that, and then here you are, the vulnerabilities allowed you to build all of these relationships and make this
Yeah, the
great
weakness
product.
becomes the strength.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's
awesome.
funny. I say it now so confidently, and like I talk to you in this podcast so confidently about all this, but it takes, like we talked about earlier, it's, I'm a canvas that has many, like, mishaps and like misdrawings, and like these are just lessons that I'm saying because it's like these are things I work on every day as well, and things that I have grown from as well. I remember doing my first art show and not selling one piece, and you're
Yeah.
just like, and I was asking for like $200 for like the highest piece, and now I don't even pick up a paintbrush for, like, unless it's like a 800 to, $500 piece,
Yeah.
just because you're just like, I, yeah, now I view it as more timing, and whether it's like, oh, I can either be in the studio or I can be with my family, and it's
Yeah.
like, again, I see it as when people are buying art, they're not buying a subject matter. They're not buying the material. They're buying how you view it, your soul. So you're giving. That's what a lot of people, when you're a good artist, you realize you're actually, when you're going deep, you're grabbing something out of there and putting it on there, and it takes away from you. Like there's actually a lot of times my best pieces, I'll finish it and I'll be in the worst mood and like super grumpy and like just,
Wow. Yeah.
and it's like my wife will hate it, and like I'll know it's, but it's just like, and I'll tell her as well, it's just like because you're so creatively drained and so mentally drained and even like kind of spiritually drained, like you put all that good into that, and now only like maybe whatever negative you had left in you is only in that, you know. Like
Yeah.
I did this piece, this uh I did this coyote piece, this abstraction in October, uh and this guy bought it for this wife who has pancreatic cancer or some ovarian cancer, I think.
Jeez.
And so super hard, and like you're just like,
Hmm.
you're being told this and you're like, geez, I'm giving a painting to someone, like I have to go way deep. This is like,
Hmm.
I have to go this is healing deep, you know. I was meditating like crazy, just like really putting it there as like I need to give her, and uh it did, and you could feel it, you know. You could just, and you could also feel like that piece really helped me. For someone like that, it helped me go deeper, because you realize
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I would maybe be in an argument with my wife about what we want for dinner, walk out to the studio with maybe like not the greatest mood, and then all of a sudden you're working on this painting and you're like, oh my gosh, here this guy is buying, you know, paying this money for his wife's piece, and you know, you're just like, wake up. Life is so,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, you're so blessed, you know. And again, like you said, it just helps your vulnerability. You're able to go deeper and deeper, and like I said, it comes your, eventually your greatest strength, where you can hopefully go there quite a bit. But
Well, and even that process of you like going deep in that painting is a beautiful thing, and it sort of takes it out of you, but it's the
yeah, I
same
didn't paint during the
as,
month of November afterwards because I was
yeah,
so
but
drained.
really? Yeah. Well, and it's like you have these, let's say you have also like, and it's a little different, but you have a hard training ride or a hard race or a hard
Hmm.
something in life like that that you kind of rise to and give so much of yourself to. You leave drained, but it's a beautiful thing, and it's kind of a building block for the future. And like you said, now when you approach your next painting, you've got that whole process and situation and thing that you went through behind you that makes the next one, that much more powerful, you
Oh
know?
yeah, we're always. I mean, it's like a pyramid in life. Like we're always climbing to
Yeah.
that next little step, that next little riser, and you're, yeah, like you said, you're tired when you get there, but then you get there and you look around and you're like, oh my gosh, look how far I've come. Like this is a new level. I'm not on that first step anymore. But then you look
Yeah.
up as well and you realize like, all right, this is how far I've come. How far can I go? You know, because
Yeah.
that's how I view it as well. As I'll look back at some of my earliest pieces, and it's, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm far better now than I was then. And that just is like, it always hits me. It's like, that's how anything in life is,
Anything
you
in
know.
life. Yeah.
Like, and we always overcomplicate it, thinking people have these magical powers, or like some might have a little bit more talent,
Sure.
but once you get high enough up, whether that be in art or in cycling or in anything, talent just got you there. You know what I mean? Like then you have to show like why you're there, and that's the discipline of painting or drawing every day. It's still
Yeah.
a craft. You have to, a skill. You
It's
have
a
to
craft.
perfect it. You have to
Yeah.
learn. Same with training. Like I realize if I don't train every day and I get on the bike and I'm like, oh man, I can't do 300 watts anymore, or like I try to go out and do a painting and I feel like sloppy, and it's like, well, yeah, you
You
haven't
haven't done it.
strengthened that craft, you haven't done it
Yeah.
for a while. But it's funny, like I said, people just think like, oh man, you're just blessed or you have a talent. It's like, no, honestly, I just, from cycling, I've learned that discipline, and I've learned that when you do apply that discipline to anything, you can be successful in anything, you know.
Oh
But
yeah. Yeah, and if you don't, you won't. I mean, and like you say about the cycling, it's funny. Like I have a running background, not to your level in cycling, but I ran in like Division I in college and stuff. And I remember one day I was going like hiking with my girlfriend at the time and her dog, and I was sucking wind. I was like, I can't. I was like, I got to go back to the car and take a break. And, and she's just walking around and I'm like dripping in sweat. And cause I hadn't run a step or biked or done anything in months. And, it's like, it doesn't matter what your, PR is from, 4 years ago. You can't
Yeah,
get up the hill. I mean,
that's that's why I don't post any old photos. I was talking to someone about this the other day on a podcast. Like, I just think it's ridiculous to live in the past like that, because it's
mhm,
like you said, you can be like, because that I think just even if you're just thinking it's like just fun to just post an old photo, I think a lot of times that's your subconscious wishing you were in that time, you know,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and it's like if I were to be posting a foot like, because this one guy was like, oh yeah, national champion, this, and I was like, I totally forgot that I did all that, or I've pushed,
mhm,
because to me that wasn't even me who I am. That's a different TJ. Like,
sure.
and a lot of people, I believe that you should always be evolving and changing and growing. And it's just funny to me seeing people just stay the exact same from you knew, and it's just
Mhm.
like we, I like that continuing
Yeah, and
growth
it's
in that
honestly
process.
it's kind of sad, if you talk to those people, you'd say, look, you've got all this in you, and if you're the same, that you were a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, it's probably not a great thing.
Well, yeah, where's the
Y-
excitement? I mean, I look
Yeah,
at photos of me and my wife from like when we first met, or when, like, every year it's both of us are different, like, and both of
yeah.
us have evolved. Now my wife is a yoga teacher, like, all these things, like, where you can just tell, like, that's why we're soulmates, because
My
you
fiance
help
is
each
a
other.
yoga instructor as well.
Oh, nice,
Yeah, well, she's
nice,
certified. She's a nurse, sort of in the uh, day job, but she's
nice.
like a 200 hour it's certified
Yeah,
instructor or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, it's hard, man. It's
Oh yeah.
super hard. But
Yeah.
what I loved was that just, I mean, people who do that, it again kind of teaches and shows them that side of discipline and passion, like, if you really
That's
had the
awesome.
passion, you can do it. But uh you know but it's funny, like, passion, I feel like, is really our main fire within all of us, like, you look around, most people, you go to the grocery store or anything, and it's just like zombied out, no
Hmm.
passion, nobody's doing what they love, they're making great pay, but they're not doing anything they
Hmm.
love. They're not doing anything progressive for their life. They're not doing anything progressive for creativity. Like, and you're just like, I don't know. I kind of been in a lot of situations where people maybe are just out of your life, like that, or all of a
Hmm.
sudden you ran into a friend and they were mountain biking, and all of a sudden they're not like they have a heart attack, and you're just like, holy cow, like, life can be
Man.
taken like that.
Yeah.
And anything can change like that. I mean, we learned that from COVID. That's number one
Hmm.
lesson. And I just kind of view, like, if if that's taken away from you, you want to just be doing that. You just want to be kind of
Hmm.
just that. I don't know. I like, it's nothing against getting paid well or just making it through it, or just doing your job and getting through the day. But, like, you just want to get through the day. Like,
Hmm.
you don't want to wake up and, like, for me, like I said, it's not like I'm not a rich man at all. Like, I just get to do what I love to do. Like, and I
Yeah.
get to live by my schedule. I get to do what I want to do on my daily, you know, but that's because I don't pursue money. Like, you know what I mean? I pursue growth. I
Yeah.
pursue becoming a better artist. I pursue becoming a better, business person and things like that, rather than, like, oh, I want to be a
But
millionaire.
yeah, but
It's like,
it's like the vulnerability thing. It's like when you know, chase only the money and
yeah,
you're in this situation that you don't have passion for, you're never going to get you're never going to get to where you can get, you know. And
oh
if you
yeah,
have if you
passion is. it's
Yeah,
our
if you're
greatest.
totally, you're doing your what you love on a daily basis and you have this clarifying thing of I want to make sure I'm spending time with my family and I want to make sure when I do art it's to the best that I can do and all of that stuff. Over time, if there's money out there, that will come and it will come even more because
Oh, you're
people
doing
are
what
going
you
to
love.
appreciate that and yeah, and you do what you love. So it's almost this that like vulnerability, strength, weakness, strength, and it's almost this like conundrum or whatever that people get stuck in where they think they're chasing the money, but they're actually leaving sort of happiness and being able to provide something unique to the world that would compensate them probably even more
That's
ultimately
what
than what
saddens
they
me. That's
yeah
what saddens me to the most
yeah
is, and again, it's been so fun with starting an imaginary collective and, bringing on my teammate and like business partner, Andrew Dahlheim. And he's not an artist, but when I walked into his house, I was like, you're an artist. Like the way
that's
he's
awesome
so good at creating things like
yeah
woodwork, everything.
yeah
And like, just how artistic his house was. I was like, I could easily do something with you. But, it's been fun like when you can create an environment that's creative and inclusive, not saying, hey, this is my team, I'm gonna do my designs, we're gonna do my creative. It's like, no, this is in the clubs, we end things and we come together as a collective to create it. That means everyone's voice is heard. That means everyone's creative thought wants to be heard, because like you said, like, and I know like there's so much more inside every single person
yeah
and creatively, that I think it's just wild that like we're not flying like spaceships right now, we're not
yeah
flying electric car, everyone's not like in all electric cars right now, and everyone's not. And it's, to me, it's, again, we've done these, we're just so caught up with going to these jobs, and then we get so caught up with getting caught up in being political, and so
Mhm.
caught up with, we're like, man, we're in the year 2020 and racism is still a subject matter, or like who you like want to marry is still a like issue, or like
Mhm.
someone's sexual orientation. It's like the cavemen didn't care. Like the
Yeah
cavemen just were trying to survive. Like
yeah
like, you know what I mean? Like we're dealing with things that are just like so cavemanish, and like we should be trying, like if we were to truly be working together as creative minds, and like, which would be awesome, and not, we would be so far beyond and
exactly
living
yeah
in this beautiful, utopia, and living, people would be thinking creatively rather than thinking, oh yeah, if I pursue, oh, why do you want to go to college? Oh, because I can get a good job here and then make good money here. Oh, okay, good luck with that. Like
yeah
that's
but
gonna
it's like
bring.
you say if more people were doing that pursuing their passions like you're talking about sort of in your imaginary collective if that was the whole country imagine what the whole country could do if you didn't have
Oh
everybody
man,
sort of shackled to their desks and stuff. And it's
yeah,
there was this I was reading this book by Peter Thiel, and he's one of the founders of PayPal and stuff. And he was talking about how he was a trained attorney and then left. And he said, you talk to these people going into law school, and they've got so much um, like intelligence and passion and all these things they want to do with their law degree and everything. And then they go through this expensive law school. They
yeah,
have all this debt. Now they have
yeah.
to go to the big law firm and they
Hmm.
hate it. And it's like you
They're
said, you're at this big,
working
yeah. And
eight
you've quote
hundred
unquote
hours,
made it.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've quote unquote made it. But everybody in that big firm wants to get out. Everybody on the outside wishes they were
And you're
in. It's,
doing drugs, everyone's doing coke
yeah.
at that point, everyone's drinking all the time, everyone's then, more aggressive, because again, think about it's, again, to me, I think it's just hilarious. Like I get a lot of exercise every day, I get a lot of creative thinking every day, I eat healthy every day, I don't eat any fast, like we drink green smoothies every day. And the more I meditate every day, and like the more I've done this, just, it's just so clear to see. You're just like, wow, this is our medicine. Like if
Mhm.
we would stop like poisoning ourselves, because when we go to these jobs every day, sit in this office chair every day, from your body's not meant to do that. Your body's meant to be
Mm-mm.
running. Your body was made to hunt and go run after the animal. Your body was made to, be up from sun up to sundown. Your body was, not meant to have all these chemical foods. It's so funny how, drugs are like bad, but yet we sell fast food. That's just another drug, or
Mm-hmm.
sugar or soda. Like, there's other drugs, it's just getting people addicted to other things. And it's so funny. You see, obesity is one of our biggest killers, and heart disease and everything. And like, you just start taking a step back and like, are you kidding me? That's like one of the easiest treatable things. Like, I might
Mm-hmm.
get a lot of criticism, but like, all if we were to, as a job, give like, hey, we all our coworkers need an hour of exercise a day. All our coworkers need here's some healthy, green food. But again, as we live in America, you can't take away our American food. You can't take away our
Yeah.
rights to not want to exercise. But to
And
me, it's just
it's
like,
almost like the people have to come to it themselves and realize. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the healthcare industry, and that's a whole nother thing. But it's like,
I I
take
used
this
to take,
pill, take this
yeah,
whatever, and it's like,
I
well, you walk in with a bag of M&Ms. Nothing against M&Ms, but that's not good
yeah,
for you. And
yeah,
like,
yeah. I
you
mean,
cut that out, you're probably gonna feel
I'll
better.
like, I'm not one to, say I'll have sugars and processed food, and like, I know, but that's the thing, is I'm aware, like,
You're
this is
aware.
not good for me.
Mm,
Like, this is not normal. Like, this is not like, and it's funny, our meat, our vegetables, none of it is. Like, unless you're growing it from home or you're hunting it, like you're actually going out and hunting your elk, your food is all poisoned. Like,
mhm,
our meats are all jacked up with hormones and with fear and anxiety, because these chickens or cows or animals are living in cages, and then they're, tortured, and then they're killed and slaughtered in these cages. And so then people wonder why they have such high levels of anxiety and stress. And it's like, well, maybe because you just put that in spirit into your body, and that
mhm,
hormone filled or vegetables that are being poisoned with all these pesticides, and like, building up all this stuff, where I know one friend that almost, died, and they were pregnant, and almost their child almost died, you know, from a cucumber having salmonella. And you're
jeez.
just like, what? And it just shows, like I said, like,
Mhm,
we have to start looking at our health as like our own, not like trusting, oh yeah, McDonald's just put out this new salad menu, or this
mhm.
company just dropped this. It's like, no, I need to look inside myself. I need to, go start a garden now. I need to buy plants to fill in my house. I need to meditate more. And like, like I said, I sound like this is like a fire hose of stuff right now, but for me it was just one thing at a time. Like, I'm
Sure.
just going to
Yeah.
meditate today. You
And one
know,
thing helps the other. It's like
yeah,
one thing leads to the other. If you're being creative and working with your hands and being close to the land and all this stuff, you'll feel better mentally, and then you'll be, it's kind of like a uh whatever. It
it
has
doesn't,
momentum in a positive direction. Whereas the
yeah, it
other
never
way, if you're,
stops.
not sleeping enough and you're not eating right, and then you're going to a job you don't like, then it's momentum the other way.
Yeah. And then you're just being, I mean, and then you're being, brainwashed as well, being told like, with mass consumption and consumerism, where you're just like on your phone all day and just scrolling. So here you are, agitated with your work life, agitated with your health, agitated with all this. So what are you going to do? You're then going to spend money, buy on Amazon, buy on this, and like I said, nothing, I do all this stuff, but like,
Sure.
I'm aware, and like,
You're aware.
I know that these are all issues we're dealing with in our civilization today, and know that I'm also dealing with it and have to pull it back. This is just me like saying what I'm aware of, and as like
Yeah. And
not
try to
saying,
reduce, it's an ongoing process, but try to reduce it in your
yeah,
life.
there's
Yeah.
tons of times where I'll all of a sudden catch myself and I'm like, holy cow, I was on my phone for 40 minutes. I could have been on my bike for 40 minutes. And you
Yep.
look at those
Yeah.
differences and you're
Yeah.
like, in my life, I just was here, or actually that 40 minutes put me down here, whereas I could have been up here
Hmm.
from just
Yeah.
doing a hard workout for 40 minutes. And it's just how we view it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, real quick, you want to tell me a little bit about gravel racing, what it is, where it fits into the whole ecosystem of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
just to totally change the subject. Okay.
Yeah. Gravel racing, it's incredible. It's kind of that mixed hybrid of road racing and mountain bike. So you'll have like a road bike looking with mountain bike kind of size tires on it. Um, and it's really just that bike that's perfect for those hard fire roads that, especially down here in the Utah desert, you just have hundreds of miles of desert roads. And so you can, jump on this amazing bike and go rip down this road and just feel completely, honestly, like to me, it's like the purest way of like the American dream is like you're totally free. You're just out there in the desert,
Yeah.
peaceful, no one. And as well, also, it just helped with like, I don't have to deal with cars. I don't have to
Yeah.
worry about, anything like that. And I got to see and explore even still, like you find a new road and explore it and you're seeing parts of your land, that you never, not my land, but I guess like where I live,
Your
that
environment. Yeah.
existed, your environment
Yeah.
that never, you
Yeah.
just thought it was one way. Your perspective was one
Yeah.
thought, and your thought was like, oh yeah, that mountain's cool above it. And then you're able to go up there and explore it, and you're like, what, this is up here, or this
Yeah.
rock formation is here. And like I said, that, racing, it's the most artistic way of riding and racing a bike or riding a bike, because there's not one there's not a governing body over gravel racing, which nobody wants. We don't want a governing body
Yeah.
because gravel racing, like I said, it's like art. You can
Yeah.
be totally free. Someone can show up and be racing the race in a dress, or show up and be racing on a mountain bike, or be racing on a tandem, or be racing, or just be riding the race because they want to ride the race. Like, what's beautiful about gravel racing is there's no categories of, oh, well, the pros will start later, the amateurs will start here, it's everyone starts together. So here you have the opportunity to, if someone is their first time ever doing a gravel race, to someone who is an ex pro, like high end world tour pro who's
Sure.
now doing gravel, and it's like, wow, that never existed prior, where to me, like I said, it's just the purest form of racing, where it's like, oh no, there's not a label of, oh yeah, you're a pro, you can do this race. It's like, no, anyone is accepted and welcome. And the culture is just always beautiful when you're at those events. It's always very warm and welcoming, and everyone's always very friendly and loving. And it's always an atmosphere that you love, because it's usually just bikes and people who love bikes and people who are
Yes.
stoked about bikes. And so you're stoked about it. And then they're just usually people who are stoked on life as well, because they're not there to get a result. They're there to have fun. Whereas if they were to show up to any type of other type of race, like a local crit or a
They've
local
got all
road
that
race.
stress of
Yeah.
what that
And
represents. And yeah.
yeah. And whereas like a gravel race, the goal is just usually to finish, whereas if you go to a crit, if you just finish, you're disappointed, like usually you're just like,
Yes.
oh, I have this end expectation, and then you spend all that money for only 30 minutes to race. Where a gravel race, you're getting, if you pay $200 to $300 for your event, you're getting that money well spent, because you're out there from sunrise to sunset usually,
That's awesome.
and you're then surrounded by all these cool people. You leave that event with so many new friends, so many new connections, Bill. And that's why I just really fell in love with it, because I'm a people person.
Oh yeah.
I'm an artistic person. So I like to be doing events like that. Because when I was at races prior, I would be like at a race in France or somewhere or anywhere, and I'd be talking to people, and the team would always get pissed at me for it, because it's like, you're wasting energy, or
Yeah. Yeah.
you should be focused on the race right now. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, I'm just being a nice guy as well.
Yeah.
So
It reminds me a little bit of have you ever heard of like the Ragnar races or those kinds of
yeah,
outdoor?
that's like kind of those running races. It's
Yeah, like I've done those and it's that way where literally, yeah, one team might run in dresses and another team might be there to like whoop some butt.
Yeah.
but it's 24 hours and you run through the woods. It's like a relay. And it's the same thing. You could be like me and one of my like teammates, former teammates. So we had just got done running, a couple of years before, combined with people that maybe just ran in high school, combined with people that were not runners at all. We were all on the same team. And we had a blast. You'd sleep for like an hour or two in between each run, and it was pouring rain and freezing, and like someone would come wake you up and be like, all right, it's 2 a.m. It's like, oh, go run into the dark woods. You got an 8 mile leg. And you're like, all right, all right.
Yeah, totally something ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you do it anyway.
Yeah. And same thing, you leave with like all these great, friends. It's such a fun time, regardless of the result.
It's,
And
it's
you,
creating life, art in real life,
yeah, yeah,
and it's yeah, what I love about those events, because there's a lot of those 24-hour events in gravel and mountain bike
sure.
called
Yeah.
epic rides, the 24 hours. And those are my favorite because you'll show up, everyone's camping, this big event, and you're just everyone there. Uh, but yeah, it's a lot of times you in those long events and those exhausted events, you'll be going through things, mentally that it's such good therapy,
Yeah.
and it's like sometimes it feels, you're just like it's like a natural, oh, it is a natural like psychedelic basically,
Yeah.
you get released those serotonins, even maybe even it honestly, because like if you do those deep breaths, you can even release a lot of that natural DMT within your own mind. And yeah, there's times you're like you said, it's 2 a.m, you have to go out there and run in the woods,
Yeah. It
and
is kind of,
you're exhausted,
yeah.
you're but yet your adrenaline's pumping, you're pumping, your heart's pumping, your breath is pumping. You like might see something in the woods, you might hear the coyotes howling out in the desert, like you might have an epiphany, like something you may have been struggling with that you didn't know might all of a sudden hit. Like that's the funny thing, the not funny thing, but like every time I do an event, there's usually something like that hits. Like there was one time I did an event this year where it was 220 miles. It was from Eagle Mountain, Utah, to Wendover, Nevada, and it was the Old Pony Express route. It was called the Salty Stupid, and it was 220 miles, and there's only like 19 people who did it, and so you're solo that whole time. And I remember getting to like 10 miles to go, and that final 10 miles was on the road going down, and it was like pitch dark. I'd gone through all this crazy gravel the whole day, and you're at hour like I think 12, 13 at that point. And like I just couldn't. Like my body mind just stopped. And then it's like there's every race, and there are other races this year too where it's like these events are so hard and so tasking on the body, mentally, spiritually, physically, that you just learn so much about yourself that you're able to then come back, reassess, and grow. Which normally, if I were to do a normal race like Tour of Utah or a local like a crit or something like that, it never pushes you to that absolute limit of like what I like you where you feel like you feel like you're losing your mind a bit, or like you've just been going so
mhm.
hard all day, and like you just didn't know, like there are times, you're at like hour 10 and you're like, wait, how do I feel better than I did all like my whole life? I feel better now, but
Yeah.
uh that's what I just love about those events is those it just pushes you in ways that, like I said, it's like a just the
It's
psychedelic
almost like a
free
spiritual
natural,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, epiphany, and I always come out of it with something, or I feel like a deeper appreciation for always my family, life, suffering. I love suffering like that because, like I said, it just breaks you down, and that goes back to that vulnerability thing,
Yeah. And it
wanting to
becomes
always
a
be broke
building
down.
block. Yeah. It becomes a
And
building block for your, life in
yeah,
the future. Yeah.
one as like that kind of brings that up, like I was thinking about breaking things down the other day, and that's all artists do is we just look at things, look at how we can then re-break it down and build it our own. That's always what artists are doing, just re-breaking things, and same thing with, that's why I love these races is like I just said, you're breaking your body down to such a vulnerable part that then you're so broken that then you can really, that's when you can really, really make spiritual changes real easy, because it's not like you're like, oh, I'll start tomorrow, or oh, I'll just do this. It's like, no, you've gotten so deep into that point and where you're like, okay, yeah, I need to start doing this. Like, I've thought about this now for 10 hours. I need to do this, or need to go down this path. But
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
this has
So
been a great conversation, by
yeah,
the way.
yeah, no, I've enjoyed it. Um, so I guess real quick and kind of wrapping it up, the art in I guess like the cycling products, where do you see that
Hmm.
going? I know you I read in that article that you were doing some work on like the carbon rims or something like that. And we saw,
Yeah.
this is more like the pro tour stuff, but we saw like the EF team, and where they in the Tour of Italy had to change their jersey, and they partnered with that skateboard company and kind of made this
Yeah.
wild,
Palace.
yeah, that sold out, and everybody, I had my friends showing me the jersey and the custom bikes that they did. So where do you
That's,
see that going? Do you see more of that, like
I
customization,
mean,
or
for me, I don't know where it's going, which is because I'm taking control of it. You know what I mean? I'm not following anybody else's. Like, it's funny, people see like what Rafa did, and but it's like I had that. I was doing that all year. Like, they know what everyone else doesn't realize. We signed with LibTech, like the highest snowboarding company in America. They just signed Sean White. Like,
okay?
we're a cycling team, and we just signed with a snowboarding company because that have to cross market all the time, and like, why not? And like, it's funny, I'll do something, I'll create something or a design. Like, I remember one year I was telling George, I was like, George, we should next year get this many bikes, do this gravel program, do this races, send 3 riders to all these races. And then it was funny, the next year EF did exactly that, sent all that,
Yeah,
that. And for me, I watched them, and then when I saw them do that Palace Skateboards collaboration, and I had already signed with LibTech, and we had already been doing things like that, and on my mind was already for years like, why aren't we partnering with skateboard companies? Because I grew up snowboarding and skateboarding, so I was just like, this is, why wouldn't I want to be partners with Vans, or all these, or all these other companies. And so seeing them do all that for me just instills that my mind is, I'm doing what I need to be doing. Like, I'm on the path because
oh yeah,
they're doing it what I'm doing, or their visions are similar. And it's funny, like, even when I sent my designs yesterday to Santa Cruz for our jerseys and everything, because Santa Cruz let us do our, instead of like be completely on the factory team where they own all of our sponsors, they let us keep all of our sponsors and the imaginary collective name, so we could do our own thing, so we're not tied down to like their factory racing,
that's
because they
awesome.
saw us
Yeah,
as the artistic side. And it was funny, I sent them all that, and they're like, this is everything, this is like very, like, I'm just on that same vibe that people are planning, and when I realized that, it's not like I'm planning that, but it's the fact that you're just, again, being vulnerable and creating art. And right now I have some really cool, like, very, very like cool ideas that I won't share right now, but some like cool creative videography and photography that just as like an artist I want to bring forward
yeah,
to really kind of, like I said, disrupt this, you know this platform. Because it's funny, it, like, gravel started as already this disruptive platform, but now so many people have created this same type of art form with it. Like, if you go and research any gravel YouTube videos, it's all like the same. It'll be a country music song. It'll be like, oh, I left gravel because I wanted to do my own. And it's like, it's not, that's true. Like, it's awesome. But eventually it kind of hit me like, oh man, I need to be always creating art, like, not just hiring this photographer or video and like, hey, yeah, do a cool video like this guy.
it's like there's an opportunity at all of these little touch points to make
Yeah.
it better and do
Well,
have
and just add things where,
creative
to
there.
me, I want to create something where it's going to make someone really stop, question, and rewatch multiple times, you know. Whereas I don't want you to get this. I don't want you to get it from the get go. Like I want you to see it and be like, I don't really know what I just watched. It was way cool. I'm gonna forward this to my friend. This was awesome. And it's like that was art rather than a video showcasing the bike or a video showcasing the clothing. And it's awesome telling all of our sponsors these ideas, and they're just like so stoked to see where we
Well,
take it, because they also don't know exactly where I'm going to push it all the time. And I think that's also the excitement of it, is like we don't really always know what TJ is going to do next, you
oh
know.
yeah. Well, and again, like see, like sort of letting some of that control go to you is going to help them. Like Santa Cruz is going to benefit from, it, like you said, they
Oh
don't make you
yeah,
be on the
we
factory team. They're not holding you down, but so they're sort of giving
well,
something
that's the
quote
beauty.
unquote up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're going to get
Yeah,
way
you're
more
not.
back from it.
Yeah, I was talking to, three of my sponsors yesterday, sharing ideas, talking creative ideas to grow each other. And
Yeah.
these were big companies. And it's like, if I was just viewed as another athlete, or viewed as like, like I said, just a factory rider, or they're not calling me then to get creative ideas or creative thoughts towards, oh, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, we need to then, and then me sharing an idea, and they're like, oh yeah, that's way, like, we should, we should do more, maybe more to that direction, and again, that's me just realizing my strengths and weaknesses now, realizing, okay, I have a lot of strengths towards that creative side, and I can help out. I shouldn't fear sharing it with someone, because just because someone's working at a job and I think that job is like high, like they're sponsoring me, doesn't mean they're higher up than me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like nobody's, you can share an idea with, the great, Elon.
Yeah.
And if it's amazing, he's like, he'll tell you it's amazing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
that's the
And
issue.
you and
We
yeah,
hide
and
it all the time.
you're in this position where you're independent and you can have those conversations on that kind of peer-to-peer level where, like you said, if you were a factory rider, you you wouldn't even be almost allowed to, you're
Yeah,
sort of
your opinion's not
you
welcomed,
do work
and
for them
that's
in that case.
yeah, and that's why. Well, and that's what I always tell them is like, I'm always gonna be we're always gonna be super honest with them. Like, if a product is not what it should be, we're gonna tell them. If like we think we should do this or that, like we're gonna tell them. But it's not my way or the highway as well. It's wanting to hear, but it's also not like, hey, we're gonna send you a schedule to post for your social media. It's like,
Exactly.
no way, you can't
Yeah.
tell me what to do like that. I don't know what I'm gonna do tomorrow. I
Oh
can't
yeah.
prepare to post for oh, Wheelie Wednesday or Throwback Thursday. It's like, no, man, let me post however I feel creatively again, because again, social media is just, it's gotten so like it used to be this great journal where people would document, what they felt at that moment, or now it's just like, oh, I need to post something today. I need to post something about this, right? Or I need to post this product. It's like, no, think creatively about how you want to do this, or, and like I said, I'm guilty of doing it all, but it's only now like really hit me now where you're just like, I need to always be pushing this creative boundary.
Oh yeah, and those creative posts will perform better ultimately. They'll do more, they'll do better than the one that is passionless and, etc.
Hmm.
So, well, yeah, well, I really enjoyed this conversation. Is there anything else you want to throw on this one here?
I mean, if people are interested in, learning more about my art, just send me a message on my Instagram at TJ Eisenhart, or follow me at TJ Eisenhart, or go follow, brand Imaginary Collective. Yeah, a lot of cool things coming, creatively this year, whether events happen or not, kind of the beauty of us as being
Yeah.
more of the creative side is, you could tell a sponsor, yeah, we don't care about winning, because, and then if races don't happen, it doesn't matter really for you, because you're just like, all right, we just have to think creatively and art content wise and
Oh
creating
yeah.
art. So,
Well,
but
awesome. Well, I really enjoyed this, and we'll have to have you back on to talk about some of the videos and like future ideas and
Yeah.
things that you've got going on.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I love this conversation. It was super fun. So like I said, I could talk about art and cycling all day.
All right,
So
awesome. Well, you have a great
talk,
day and we appreciate it.
yeah, appreciate it. Have a good one.
You
Bye.
too. Thank you.